Okay, we are going to get started in 60 seconds, so can council members take their seats? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We are going to get started. I'm going to call this meeting in honor of Veronica Jones's gavel to order. It is 7:05 p.m. Good evening, fellow council members. We're calling this meeting to order. I am going to turn it over to Vice Chair Arnzen to introduce the pledge.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, Joey Galloway was going to join us. I haven't seen Joey enter yet, but I still want to take the time to mention that Joey and the Galloway family, they have multiple properties in Altadena, and they have a long history of nurturing those properties by focusing on businesses that will be a positive addition to our community. And to that end, last month, we were so happy to join at Congresswoman Judy Chu's Leadership Awards, where Joey was awarded the Congressional Leadership Award for Business Person of the Year. We're just lucky to have Joey's optimism and passionate and determined energy working for our community. So I did want to thank Joey publicly. And in his stead, I would love for Lieutenant Petit to come up and lead us in the pledge, please.
Good evening, please stand. Face the flag, right hands over your heart. Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lieutenant, for stepping in. Okay, moving on to our roll call. Councilmember Sutherlen.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Council members, please listen for your name and answer. Is it? Okay. There you go. Thank you. Connor Cipolla.
Present.
Victoria Knapp.
Here.
Nick Arnzen.
Here.
Kim Yu is excused. Melissa Morona.
Present.
Dorothy Wong.
Here.
John Carmody.
Here.
Chris O'Malley.
I'm here.
Isis Moulton.
Present.
Thank you. Jafrina Hall.
Present.
Okay. Vi is excused. Pat Sutherlen is here. Reginald Wilkins.
Present.
Doug Cauliflower.
Here.
Diane Markison. Here. And Sylvia Vega is excused. Thank you, and we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Moving on to our agenda approval, Vice Chair Arnzen.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow council and community members. There's agendas at the back of the room. There are also public comment cards. Some of you have turned in cards already. Unfortunately, on the top, there wasn't a spot for you to put your name and number. If we get to your comment and you'd like someone to respond to you, let's make sure we get that from you before you leave the building. The council welcomes input from the community on both agendized and non-agendized items. If you would like to make public comment, please fill out the card, give it to a council person on either end of the tables. In addition, I want to remind everyone in the room to please silence your cell phones, any noise-making devices. Take a look. As the council does not respond to public comment during the meeting, if you would like to get a response, as mentioned, please include your contact info. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes. These guidelines are in place to ensure that everyone wishing to make public comment has the time to do so, and that we can conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. Council members, the Altadena Town Council Executive Committee met on Tuesday, August 13th to set the agenda for tonight's meeting. That agenda was circulated to you on Friday, August 16th. I do have the following changes to please note. Under Section 6, Committee Reports, please remove item 6.2, My Communication Committee Report. In the interest of time, I'll forego that report this month. Under Section 8, Census Tract Reports, please add item 8.1, which will be a report from Census Tract 4601. Oh, great. Oh, it's on yours, but it's not on all of them.
Yes.
Are there any additional modifications tonight?
If Sylvia's not here, are we having an education?
We are not. Good
No,
point.
we
will.
are, we are.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Isis is delivering.
Okay, thank you.
And go ahead, Isis. We're going to add a census tract report
Sorry,
for,
can I add to the agenda to add the census tract report for 4610, please?
Of course, 8.2 will be 4610. Please note. Are there any others? I move that the agenda be approved with said changes. I got a second from Connor.
okay, all in favor of the agenda approval, say aye. Any abstentions or no? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to officers' reports. I will be brief. I did just want to mention that I was honored to speak at Altadena Troop 1's Eagle Court of Honor ceremony earlier this month, where 3 Altadena Scouts were awarded Eagle. I wanted to acknowledge their hard work and dedication. They are John Burgess, John Coate, and Erin Kale. Erin is the first girl from this troop to achieve Eagle. Congratulations to them all, and a special thank you to their Scoutmasters, Dan Kale and Rose Cortez. So, round of applause for our Eagle Scouts. And also, in the matter of Charles Towns, who was fatally shot by sheriff deputies on January 22nd, 2023, the Board of Supervisors approved a settlement in the lawsuit brought by his family of $5.25 million. This settlement is separate from the investigation into the deputies' use of deadly force, any disciplinary action, or any changes in training or protocol by sheriff's deputies. So I just wanted to acknowledge that I hope that this brings the smallest modicum of peace and salve to his family. Thank you. Moving on to Vice Chair Arnzen.
I'll yield my time.
Thank you. Recording Secretary Minutes, Pat Sutherlen.
Okay. Thank you. Council members, I think it was Saturday, you received the minutes from the July 16th council meeting, and I did not receive any corrections or changes. Are there any that you've come up with since you received this? In that case, I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, and thank you for the second. All in favor? Aye. We should have an abstention for anyone who is not here. That would be Councilmember Markison and Councilmember Cauliflower.
I'm going to abstain as well. I didn't have a chance
Chris.
to look at them.
And, okay, so we've got Councilmembers Markison, O'Malley, Arnzen, and Cauliflower abstaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our treasurer's report, Treasurer Chris O'Malley.
All right, since I was not here last month, I owe you a report from that. I was in the Swiss Alps. Beautiful, beautiful. So the statement period starting on June 1st and ending on June 30th. We started out with $1,513.61 in the bank. We had a $227.68 deposit. We had $311.43 worth of withdrawals, and our ending balance for the period was $1,429.80. Is that the camera? 86 cents. This month, we started out with $1,429.86. No deposits, because I wasn't around to do it, no withdrawals, and we end the period with $1,429.86. Just as a reminder, the Altadena Town Council is a volunteer organization that depends on the kindness and generosity of our residents to fund all of the things that we do. So if you would be so kind as the can comes around, hold on, I got mine here somewhere. There it is. You can just throw $1 or $2 in there, 5, 10, 20, 100, whatever you're into. And if you could, if it comes back here, if you could just give it to Councilmember Wilkins there on the end, he will probably not steal it. Thank you.
Thank you. Corresponding Secretary, Councilmember Wong.
Good evening, everyone. I'll give you some highlights regarding the website and some upcoming events and some new tabs that I added to the website. So again, anybody that would like to list their events through the Altadena Town Council website can reach out to me at dorothy.wong@altadenatowncouncil.org, DOROTHY, period or dots, WONG. Here we are in the third week of, third week of August, and we still have 3 amazing concerts coming up from our Concerts in the Park, hosted by the Rotary Club and Friends. And Public Works will be actually attending the 24th event, and I believe they're going to be talking about the bicycle master plan and some other thoughts. So anyway, mark your calendars for the amazing events still happening. Also, on October the 2nd is California Clean Air Day, and our schools across Altadena have been challenged to walk to school on October the 2nd. So council members, please join your census tracts and walk with your schools. That's October the 2nd. And then I added just another tab for the road projects. As Councilmember Marcuson might bring up, there are ongoing events or ongoing stages of the project. So you can just click on our town council website on road projects. And then we did have a couple of earthquakes. So check your tabs. We actually have a section that has Ready LA County and all of our emergency services that you can find there. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong. We now are moving on to our public safety reports. I understand that Captain Williams is out, so I will invite up Lieutenant Batty from the Altadena Sheriff's Station.
Hello, good evening. Yes, Captain Williams is on a much-needed vacation. He deserves it, and I promised him I wouldn't bother him unless it was emergent. So, happy to be here. Let's start with our grand thefts. Really, all of our crimes are pretty much down. The grand thefts are down. Our aggravated assaults are down. And our residential burgs, percentage-wise, are slightly up, but we are down from last month. So, having said that, our summer enforcement teams are out and they're very active, and they've been making some good quality arrests. And I believe these numbers are a reflection of their work, and also the work of the other deputies as well. We do have some events coming up here shortly. We have a blood drive, which is sponsored by Altadena Sheriff's Station. It's going to be at the community meeting room on Monday, September 9th from 9:30 to 3:30 p.m. We also have Pizza with the Deputy that's going to be taking place at Pizza of Venice. That's going to be in mid-September. We don't have a date yet, but we're going to post it on our social media. We're going to also have a town hall meeting also in mid-September on Mountain View, at the Mountain View Cemetery. And it's open to everyone, but it's a special attention to those residents that live on Sacramento and Raymond. And it's regarding, a lot of the kind of riffraff hanging out and like drinking and everything. We get a lot of complaints in that area in regard to that. So we're going to open it up to everybody, to come and, make suggestions, and so we can talk about some things and maybe mitigate some of those issues over there in that area. We've been asked a lot about when we're going to have another etching event. That's coming in early October. We don't know if we're going to have it here or at the Toyota dealership. We're still trying to figure that out, but that's coming soon in October. And I know we've been asking to get the sheriff here, and he's supposed to be attending the next town hall meeting. And that is it. Any questions?
I have just a couple questions.
Sure.
One, I was on vacation, but how was National Night Out?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was hot, but you know what? We made the best of it. We found shade, and we had a lot of more people than I thought that would come out, but we had a really nice time, really good time. And we got a great photo at the end too.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And then my second question was there, to your knowledge, and I had emailed Captain Williams about this, not realizing he was out, but was there some sort of an incident on Fair Oaks at Woodbury on Saturday night that involved a significant law enforcement presence and possibly there was reports that the coroner's van was there, which is why it got such attention?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
I hadn't heard anything.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
But,
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
But I'll look into it, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, I'll forward the email I sent to him to you.
Okay, all right.
Great. Go ahead, Councilmember Arnzen.
3 questions. Is there any numbers on the catalytic converters? Did I miss that? I know you're doing an etching event. Any numbers we sometimes get?
Oh, like how many?
Like how many?
have been stolen recently?
Oh no, I don't have any recent numbers on that, but
Okay.
according to looking at it from July, they're down. We only had like maybe one in the
Right.
last couple of months.
That's great.
Yeah.
Charlestown's, we heard about the settlement. Any word on the investigation or an estimation on when we might get?
Yeah, there's still an ongoing investigation with DOJ, and we as the Sheriff Department, we don't have any information as of yet.
Appreciate that. And finally, just for clarification, how best to go about reporting any incidents with unhoused encampments popping up?
Well, if you guys have the information and you guys have the locations, what you can do is you can just call into the station and just let us know about the problem, and then what it will be, information will be passed on to myself or my operations, or actually our detective sergeant. And what we'll do is we'll get in touch with the host and we'll figure out something. We'll get them to come out. And usually if it's something big, they'll set up an operation or they'll send a couple of deputies to handle it. But if you have the information, just call us, and then the information will be forwarded to myself, my Sergeant Salazar, or Sergeant Rosales.
And in the past, we were informed that speaking about the host team when you call in might help get you directed correctly. Somebody had called in and mentioned the host team, but they didn't know about it. Will it help to mention, or would we be better off? I know the Works has a great section that does these reports as well. Is there a preference between the two?
What do you mean, actually calling the host team yourself? or
No,
actually-
we were informed that we had sort of a subcommittee for unhoused for a little bit, and the word we got was that if we call the sheriff's station mentioning the host committee, I think Captain Williams said if you actually mention the host team, that will help direct them toward the host team.
Yes.
So we instructed somebody to do that, but the person answering wasn't aware of the host team. So do I disregard that, or is that about training people to know that there is a host team?
Well, yeah, that's probably some information we have to get out to the public in order, because they have their protocols of how they should be contacted. And I'm pretty sure there's a website that we can give. I don't have at this time, but I can make sure I'll get that to you guys. you can talk to me after, and I can maybe get that to you.
That's great. I was really just looking for what your advice was for the best route of the three,
Yeah.
the
Right.
website, you, or the works.
Yeah, so I didn't really think about that, but it's really, right now, it's better just to come to us, because I have personally direct contact with them, so we can
Okay.
get it done right away, you know, as opposed to sending an email, and, you know, all the cities are sending emails and
Thank
waiting a longer period. But we'll figure something out, but the best thing is to come to us directly.
Okay.
Yeah, I did want to add that I think that going to the sheriff's station is the best first line of defense. The Works app would probably be the third or last line of defense. It is a public works app, and it does have to get routed from there, so it's not the most efficient or effective. I learned that today, even though we had been routing people there before. And I also just wanted to thank you for the responsiveness on these issues. I have heard from the supervisor's office specifically that the sheriff's station has been responsive when community members have reached out. I know we have, you know, we're trying to prevent an actual, you know, encampment from forming
Right, I understand.
as we are seeing, you know, possibly happening on Lincoln. So
Okay.
we definitely appreciate your responsiveness. Is there a new host lead? Like, was there turnover in the host group, or
That I don't know.
you don't know?
I'm
Okay,
not sure.
that's fine. Okay.
Not sure.
All right, any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was writing fast, and the meeting at
At the
Mountain
Mountain View
View?
Cemetery?
did you say it wasn't scheduled yet, or?
We haven't scheduled it yet. We're trying to come up with a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is that's my census tract, and I'm aware of, you know, the issues, so I wanted
Yes.
to make sure that I got there, so.
Yes, as soon as we get a date, right now, I'm trying to wait until my captain gets back to make sure that the dates correspond with him, because I know people are going to want him to be there. So we'll have something next week, a hard date next week.
And you'll let us know,
Absolutely.
one way or another.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Councilmember Carmody?
Thank you. Can you just repeat the event at Pizza Venice again that you mentioned?
That's going to be Pizza with the Deputy, and we're going to post it. We don't have a date for that yet, but that's going to be at Pizza of Venice, and it's going to be on our Facebook and our social media page. It's at LASD, at Altadena, ALASD.
Okay, thank you.
Got it.
Okay, is that it for questions? Great, thank you for coming, thank you for being here, thank you for leading the pledge, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, from California Highway Patrol, I saw Officer Bay, and I believe he may have a special guest with him. I see her back there, okay, great.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Officer Brian Bay with the California Highway Patrol, and I'm going to be presenting the crash statistics for the month of July. So the CHP out of Altadena, we investigated approximately 24 traffic crashes in unincorporated Altadena. Out of those 24 traffic crashes, 3 were hit and run, 5 resulted in injuries, 4 were investigated for driving under the influence, and then the rest were property damage only. No injuries were reported. There was, regarding bicycle safety, I did note that there was 1 bicycle crash on Angeles Crest Highway. I believe it was on July 3rd. That was investigated for DUI. So we like to remind the public that there is the 3 feet rule in California, that you maintain a good space cushion to allow bicyclists the right of way on our public roads. I also want to just address real quick, we did have 1 CHP officer involved in a traffic crash while assisting on the 5 freeway. I'm not sure if people were aware of that. That officer was responding to a vehicle that was disabled in traffic lanes on the 5 freeway in the New Hall area. That officer went out and attempted to relocate that vehicle to a safe position, and unfortunately he was struck by another speeding motorist. That officer, I don't have any more information other than the fact that he's being treated at a hospital. So please kind of keep that in mind. Please check your vehicle prior to any kind of long distance travel. We get a lot of calls of vehicles that are disabled on the roadway, whether they forgot to fill up their gas tank or they didn't check their tire pressure. There's a whole list of things. So please keep that in mind, as well as be familiar with your location. If you were to be disabled on the roadway, please understand, obviously we live in the area, but on our freeways, sometimes we're not super familiar with certain crossings or on or off ramps. So familiarize yourself, and yes. I do want to note a few things. CHP, we were active at the block party for Chris Holden last month, so that was a great event. It was also very, very warm, but we were there with our smiles, as well as the back to school event at the Rose Bowl. That was a great event. We handed out all of our bicycle helmets. It helped a lot of kids bring some smiles to their faces and getting ready for school too. So that was an excellent event. My safety tip of the month, I guess, is to consider having a first aid bag inside of any vehicle that you may have. You never know when you're going to kind of come across someone that's injured in the roadway. So maybe think about having some kind of first aid bag and maintain those supplies in there as well. As our community officer, I was present, today is Tuesday, right? Yesterday for our back to school. I saw a lot of young little ones walking on the sidewalk using crosswalks safely. I met with a few of the crossing guards, and I did issue a few citations for people not yielding to a crossing guard in a crosswalk, especially at Elliott Middle School, where we were having definitely an issue with that on Lake Avenue. So kind of please keep in mind during our travel time in the mornings, please allow yourself extra time to get to where you're going, whether that's a new pickup line or drop-off line. Things might have changed, so maybe check with your local schools to see if they have any new routes of travel, but also just give yourself some time. And also no double parking or speeding as well. We are going to be actively in the area towards the end of the month for our school bus violation campaign. So whenever you see a school bus that has a stop sign and flashing red lights, that means that all vehicles must stop, whether you're going eastbound or westbound or northbound or southbound. All traffic lanes must stop, because you never know when a child might be crossing. So we're going to be trailing, maybe being inside a few of these school buses and coordinating with a few officers to maybe make an enforcement contact with that. So we'll be present in the community with that, and as well as construction on Washington Boulevard. There's still construction going on just east of Allen, so kind of keep that in mind near the middle school or elementary school over there. I do have some more information about some enforcement that CHP is doing on Angeles Crest Highway. I'll kind of keep this as brief as I can, but the CHP out of Altadena, we actually received some grant overtime for more enforcement on Angeles Crest Highway. So I'm not sure if people are traveling to go up hiking or bicycle riding, but as we all know, that a lot of people utilize their vehicles to go up there and treat it as their own racetrack, and we're actively, aggressively trying to remind people the rules of the road. And so the violations that the CHP we're going to be looking for are speed violations, crossing over the double yellow lines, and also overnight kind of parking in that area. A lot of people tend to hang out up there, film things, and some of those things are illegal. So we're going to be actively in the area patrolling. We're going to be working with the U.S. Forest Service, as well as the Montrose Search and Rescue and LA Sheriff's Department out there. So you'll see all of us working in tandem together. We just want to remind people that this is going to be an ongoing event. This isn't just for the summer, but also for the winter months as well. This grant has actually helped us get more officers at different hours of the day to be up there to help patrol. And not just patrol for enforcement, but also a lot of stranded motorists end up stranded up there as well. So yes, so there's that. A few statistics I have is that the amount of speeding fatalities on the Angeles Crest has increased 17% from 2019 to 2020. Obviously, we had a lot going on in those years, but we have recognized that that highway's been considerably being utilized for speed violations. So we are acknowledging that, as well as I have a number here of just over 4,200 fatal and injury crashes have occurred on Angeles Crest within that time period too. And so a majority of those would be injury crashes, but we do have a lot of fatalities up there. So if it were me, if I had certain powers, I would have a sign that says the number of fatalities that we've had either that year or the year before, just to help really remind maybe motorists out of the area that it is a dangerous stretch of roadway. Caltrans does their absolute best to help maintain, to make sure there's no debris on the roadway and proper signage, as well as guardrails, but there's only so much we can do when Mother Nature kind of does her thing. So there's that, as well as young drivers were a huge statistic. I believe 19% of those were young drivers under the age of 21. So just to keep that brief. So you'll see us up on Angeles Crest. If you see anything, whether you see a particular kind of vehicle or groups of vehicles, sometimes we have car clubs that go up there and do their thing. So please be a good observer and let us know if you see any kind of license plates or any decals. That'll help us kind of narrow down, as well as the dates and times of these occurrences, so we can help coordinate a little bit better. Other than that, that concludes my presentation.
Did you have an introduction you wanted to
You know
make?
what?
Do you want to, she doesn't want to be introduced?
I can already feel the daggers coming this way.
Oh, no, no daggers.
But I would like to introduce our new public information officer, Officer Chanel Phillips. She's in the back there. Yes. Officer Phillips comes from our Southern Division area. She worked in Southern Division, which encompasses all of our area offices. So kind of think of it as like the division above all the individual stations, if you will. So she was in charge of public information for a host of areas. So she has a wide depth of knowledge when it comes to public information, and very good on social media. I know Officer Boyd definitely had his opinion on that, but we have some experience in the back as well, so it never hurts to have fresh blood. So yeah, just want to introduce her. She'll be up here hopefully a few weeks as well as I do presentations. So.
Welcome and thank you. Do we have any questions for Officer Bay? Go
Just
ahead, Councilmember
couple
Wilkins.
comments. I go up there quite a lot for astronomy stuff, and I find the motorcyclists are worse than the car drivers.
Mm-hmm.
They just crazy fast. Yeah.
And so the motorcyclists, so there's a dead giveaway, at least with me, is that they have these new, they're called Insta360 cameras, right? So they kind of show a 360 view of whatever they're doing. So whenever I encounter an individual that's using that, I know that it's not just for their own personal use. They're trying to get views on social media for some of the unsafe, and I, as a person and experience, that's kind of what I've encountered. So yeah, motorcyclists are the ones, and we do host information booths. We were just at New Century BMW just this afternoon doing any kind of information to any motorcycle riders about rules of the road, equipment wearing, anything of that sort. But yes.
Did you say 4,200 people were killed on Angeles Crest?
So that includes injuries as well, not just
okay.
fatalities. Yes, so injuries and major fatalities as well as major injuries, yeah.
Councilmember Wong?
I just wanted to thank you guys for all the great work you do supporting our community, and our great Officer Chanel as well. And it's been really great to have your partnership at Loma Alta Park, and the kids really love seeing you guys out there. And as we press on with traffic safety and education and encouragement. Thank you.
Of course, we love going out there too and maintaining that good relationship.
I did want to express the thank you from the principal at Elliott, Ms. McKenzie. She was appreciative, and she's always appreciative. That situation at Lake in Boston continues to be a problem. So she's working on the parents, but your presence there helps dissuade some of those very dangerous behaviors.
Yes.
So we thank you for that. And I saw Councilmember Molden.
I'd also like to thank you for your presence at the Jackson Elementary Parent
Of course.
Resource. The children really enjoyed your presence.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, I think we can let you go. Thank you very
If
much.
there's any other, yeah,
for-
let me know.
Okay,
Thank you very
thanks so much. LA County Fire, I saw Maria Grycan come in. And as she's making her way up, I don't think we have anyone from Forestry here. Ranger Kid, are you here? He is not here. So we're going to strike 3.4. Welcome.
Hello. Statistics for the month of July in Altadena, a total of 404 responses. 310 of those were medical, with 249 patients transported. There were 8 traffic collisions during the month, including one at Woodbury Road and Marengo Avenue, which was a vehicle versus an electric bike. We had 5 fires. We had a structure fire that didn't actually cause too much, any damage. It was in a detached garage. It was accidental electrical. We had a trash fire, a vehicle fire, and then we had 2, I won't call them brush fires because they were very, very small. One on Bowring Drive, which was a small spot fire caused by downed electrical wires. So most of the time those downed wires don't cause fires, but this one did. And the second one, which was on July 14th, little off for the area. It was a fence and a pole that caught fire from a lightning strike. So we don't see that a lot out here. We see lightning strikes in the Antelope Valley, but we don't really see them out here, but it happened. Our safety tip of the month is thank you, Dorothy, because Dorothy had emailed me about this, asking for some information, and it's a topic that we actually have been seeing more fires resulting from this, and it's questions that we have been getting recently, and it's lithium-ion batteries. So there has been an increase in fires for lithium-ion batteries. That mostly the fires that we've been responding to are these batteries in storage or the electric vehicles, not so much the smaller ones. But lithium-ion batteries, it's going to increase again. I'm just going to read this verbatim. Lithium-ion batteries supply power to many devices, including smartphones, laptops, e-bikes, smoke alarms, and even cars. If not used correctly or if damaged, these batteries can catch fire or explode. These batteries store a large amount of energy in a small amount of space. And some safety tips for obviously not the e-bikes. E-bikes, you need to charge them properly with the chargers that came with them, and same with the cars. But on the smaller devices, always follow the manufacturer's instructions and only use the battery that's designed for that particular device. Only use the charging cord that came with the device, especially for laptops and cell phones. Do not put them on top of or underneath pillows or on couches. Don't charge them. Make sure they're on a hard surface. Keep batteries at room temperature when possible, and do not keep charging after the device battery is fully charged. For most of us with smartphones, our smartphones are pretty smart, and I know my iPhone does it to me all the time. When I'm driving around in the heat, it will just stop charging on its own when it gets overheated. And I'll get a message on the phone that says charging will resume when phone returns to normal temperature. So they have some fail safes that are built into them, but those can fail as well. So just be very careful with lithium-ion batteries because they are everywhere. Any questions?
I will just say a quick thank you. When you come next month, you'll be reporting on a fire in my neighborhood at my neighbor's house from an arcing wire. It caught his roof on fire this afternoon. I saw it come up on Pulse Point. I was at the Rose Bowl. Anyway, this response was swift. It was knocked down very quickly. And shout out to Southern California Edison, who was trimming trees on my street and was able to get up there and repair for him. But it was like in the middle of a 103-degree day. So we appreciate the quick response always.
I will pass that along. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Maria.
Dorothy?
Oh, Dorothy, go ahead.
I was just reminded that the county also has a plan that, I was thinking about evacuation while you were talking, and they are going to be coming to the community at some point soon to actually start community engagement for the county's community wildfire protection plan.
Oh, the overarching plan
The
for the
overarching.
county that's being done, that's being driven by regional planning, yes.
Right, but then it...
They are working with us.
Yes, awesome, because then it still dawned on me that we are very light on our wildfire protection plan as a community. So hopefully we can take a good opportunity for motivation from this plan. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much, Maria.
Okay, now I gotta go.
Okay, normally we would have our community reports now, but we had moved them last month to a different position. We left them here this month, so I apologize to our community partners for going after our special presentations. I want to confirm, is Jessica Morales here from the county? Oh. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, and Mirador Apartments? You're here, okay, great. And then the cooling centers, Emily is here. Yes, okay, great. All right, so we're gonna move on to our special presentations. We have from Mirador Apartments, are you Jamie? Yes, great, come on up. And does she have a presentation, Dot, so we should move? Okay.
Oh, no problem.
So while that is powering up, just for the community's awareness, the Mirador complex went in on Lincoln and Figueroa in Census Tract 4610, and we have not heard from anyone from there in terms of public outreach, probably in, gosh, it's been a couple and a half years. So I know that Jafina has been in touch with them directly, so we're glad to have them here tonight. And voila, there we go. So I will turn it over to Jamie. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Jaime Alberelli. I'm the Supportive Housing Director for Affirmed Housing, and I'm here to talk to you about Mirador Apartments. I know my colleague Shonda Harold has come to previous meetings to talk about the building when it was just dirt. Now it is almost completed, so I'm here to tell you all about it. Next slide, please. Just a quick information about Affirmed Housing. We are an affordable housing developer. We have over 30 years of experience. It was started in 1992. Our headquarters are in San Diego, but we build affordable and supportive housing all across California. We've got 70 plus communities totaling over 6,000 apartments. And then for supportive housing, we've got 500 that we are currently building or in the pipeline, and 22 completed supportive housing communities. So some information about Mirador. You might have seen it. It is 99% complete. It's at 2439 Lincoln Avenue. It used to be an auto supply shop or a mechanic, so pretty small. It is 4 stories. It is going to be 71 apartment homes. This property is specifically for seniors, which are age 55 and older. There will be 1 manager's unit, so we already have our manager hired. She's going to be living on site. 35 affordable units and 35 supportive housing units. And I will talk about the difference between those two in a minute. They are all one-bedroom and studio units, 38 studios, 32 one-bedrooms. We've got on-site laundry, a computer room, indoor and outdoor community space where our on-site supportive service providers, Union Station Homeless Services and Engage, will run programming for our residents. And we will be property managed by Conam, who is a partner of Affirmed. So to give a little bit of background on why seniors, so as we know in California and across the country, we have an affordability crisis for housing. And seniors are actually the fastest growing group experiencing homelessness, both in California and in the United States. So last year we had a pretty great study in California of the population of people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. 48% of all single adults were age 50 or older. And of those unhoused older adults, 41% became homeless for the first time after 50. So there's definitely a need. Some of the reasons why seniors are more vulnerable to being at risk or experiencing homelessness, people have fixed incomes that does not keep pace with the increased cost of housing. Unfortunately, the older someone gets, the higher a probability maybe they become disconnected for family or have fewer connections when something goes wrong, and then increased health needs sometimes can cause medical debt, which unfortunately in our reality can lead to homelessness. And so to make it a little more personal, so Altadena is located in Strategic Planning Area, or SPA number 3. It's the green one on the map, San Gabriel Valley. We do a point in time count all across the country every year to count how many people are experiencing homelessness. So in SPA 3, there was 4,843 people. That's one night in January that we count. And of them, 991 were seniors age 55 and up. I go over this just so we understand sort of why we have this affordable housing for seniors and why it's so important. Next slide. So as I said, 35 of the units are affordable. They are made affordable through tax credits that we are awarded from California Tax Credit Association. What does affordable mean? So these units are restricted to households with income at or below the 60% of the area median income, AMI, for Los Angeles County. So I have that listed there. These units are studios and 2 bedrooms, so they can accommodate 1 or 2 people, so that's why I have that. The rents are going to depend on folks' income, but ranging from around $1,000 to about $1,460. That is well below market rate for the area, and they will stay affordable for at least 55 years. People who are interested in applying to these units, they would apply just like anyone else would apply to an apartment building. So if you've driven by, there's a sign up. We have a big banner. I also linked our website if you just look up Mirador Apartments. We are processing applications now. So far, we've got 10 folks who are seniors who are currently living in Altadena that are going to be moving into the property, which is great that we're able to take local residents and have them come into the property. So those are the affordable units. There's 35. And the next slide. Next slide. So we've got 35 supportive housing units. These are units that are specifically for seniors that are experiencing homelessness. They are restricted for a lower income at or below 30% AMI, which is $29,000 for a single person household. These units, they have project-based vouchers from the County of LA Housing Authority. So the resident is gonna pay 30% of their income, whatever it is, and then the subsidy covers the remainder to the property. And these units, the application process is a little different. So applicants are matched through the Coordinated Entry System, or CES. Sorry, I have a lot of acronyms. CES is run by LAHSA, which is the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. And what they do is they match people who are experiencing homelessness to available housing resources. So it's a big database. So we are taking folks, looking at folks who are seniors experiencing homelessness in SPA 3 who need housing. And they have matchers, they go through the folks, they identify who is most vulnerable, and then they apply for the property. It's a pretty cool system, and it's a way to reach the folks that need the most help and people that are local to the area. So that's how we match those units. Next slide, please. I want to go over supportive housing. I think there's a lot of myths, or people don't totally know what it is. So at its very core, supportive housing is when you take a rental subsidy, like a voucher, and supportive services on site to improve the housing stability of the resident. So it's a very simple equation. So for our supportive housing, we follow the Housing First model. Housing First is a model that acknowledges that folks first need access to a safe place to live and have their basic needs met, like food, shelter, before they can work on any other goals that they have. So as a result, on Housing First, we try our best to match people who need housing to housing as quickly as possible without preconditions and without barriers, so we can get them safe, stabilized, and then we bring the supportive services in to help them with whatever support they may need. Why do we use Housing First? First, it's a state law, so we have to. In 2016, California Bill 1380 was passed, saying that all agencies that use federal funding or state funding for homelessness, it has to use a Housing First model. And the reason we have to use it is because it's a nationally and globally recognized method for reducing homelessness. It has about a 90% success rate, keeping folks stably housed. If you compare that to a more treatment first model where you have people make steps. So first we do sobriety, then we do a recovery home, then we do like a transitional apartment. Those types of programs, they're called step work programs, probably have about a 40% success rate. So Housing First is very successful, and that's why we use it, so we can keep our seniors housed and really thriving. Next slide. This is just a list of the services that are going to be available. So Union Station Homeless Services, they are doing the services to the supportive housing residents. It's called Intensive Case Management Services, and the approach is really whatever it takes. So whatever that resident needs, they will be there to support them. So this is just kind of a list of the most common. So we've got case management. They are engaging. They're on site 5 days a week, meeting with clients. If they're interested in employment, if they need to apply for Social Security, any linkages to behavioral health, substance use treatment, medical services, food distribution, that's a big one. Seniors, and because of the fixed income, end up being food insecure, so bringing food on site, and then life skills. And then in addition, we also have Engage, which is another service provider. They're doing more community building and social activities, as you can see here. They also run our tenant council, so we will have a tenant council where a couple tenants will get elected, and they can run a council where they're letting us know as a building how we're doing and if there's any programming they want us to bring. Probably the most popular activities I've seen, coffee talk, which gets residents socializing with each other, yoga, and bingo, probably the most popular. Next slide. And now this is kind of my slide to talk about how we are a good partner to the community. And how we operate. So we do have on-site security. We find that having security helps our promote a neighborly approach and help our residents know that, one, we care about their safety, and two, we are promoting the house rules. So these residents are signing a lease just like you or I would, and there's conduct rules that they have to follow. So while the property's leasing up, we've got security on-site 24/7. Once the property is fully leased up, we switch to nights and weekends. We also have 24/7 monitored security cameras. That really helps us identify emergencies, even if someone's not right there. Also, prevent people from trespassing. We also have fob-controlled building access, so the only folks going in are residents. We have an after-hours emergency hotline for both maintenance requests and for services. So if someone needs something, there is help available. Property manager lives on site. We've got service staff on site Monday through Friday. And our housing team, which is property management and services, we meet weekly to discuss clients, discuss programming, and any issues that may come up. Next slide. So our timeline, we are 99% done. Certificate of occupancy is anticipated at the end of this month. We're currently conducting eligibility and rental applications, so move-ins to begin mid-September. Once the property is fully leased, we'll schedule a grand opening. We will be sure to invite you all. Love to have you come by, check out the property, hear from some of our residents, and see the great work that's being done there. Next slide. These are my references if you want to look at any of the data that I pulled. And then my last one is questions.
First, thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, I believe we have some questions from council members, so I will start with Councilmember Carmody.
Thank you. So for the affordable housing units that you have,
Sure.
and there was like a salary, like for like a couple and for an individual.
Yep.
What happens when that couple or that individuals hopefully exceeds the salary? Does that unit then become available? Do they have to move out? Like, what does that look like when that salary sort of is exceeded?
Yes, great question. So typically that is just for initial occupancy. So if TCAC has rules, so if it exceeds it slightly the next year, the goal is we don't want them to move out. So there's like a percentage that they can go above it, because sometimes we want to encourage folks to get income, but we don't want to have them be successful and then force them to leave. So I can pull that up, but in general, if they do increase later, most of the time they can stay unless it's like a massive increase, but I can pull that. Yeah.
Councilmember Molden?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
The first question is, would it be possible that you guys post your office hours on your website? Because I've been hearing that people have been trying to call and there's no way to get through.
For the property management?
In the process of doing the leasing and you guys are vouching for potential residents, there's no office hours posted of when they should be calling if they missed your call?
Okay, got it. Yes, I can let our property management know that. Thank you.
And then as far as the affordable housing versus the Union Station services, are the people in the affordable housing able to use those services as well, or is that just for people within that system?
Yeah, so the intensive case management services is just for supportive housing, but anything that is open to the community, like activities, everyone can participate in that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, additional questions? Councilmember Arnzen?
How many years did you say they'll remain supportive and?
Oh, yeah, so the affordability is 55.
Sorry.
55 years.
55, thank you.
Yeah, and then typically it will continue after that, but that's what they start with.
Great.
Yep.
Got the unit breakdown, got the criteria. When you decide on the supportive services on the first floor, I assume, or wherever it's at, is there any community input in that? I know we spoke about community input over the building period. Is there any community input from this point on, or anything that desires community input?
Yes, so I oversee community outreach. So if there are questions about like what the proper, because we do want to be a neighbor, and so if the community is looking for us to host events, because we have pretty great event space, or folks would like to even bring volunteer services to our property, we've had that before, I am available for that. I will leave some of my business cards on the table in the back, so if folks do want to reach out to me, that'd be great.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Nick, I'm sorry.
I think that's all I've got. I mean, I do have a question about oversight.
Sure.
And this is not a question of trust, but newly coming into our community. Is there any county or even local community oversight? You mentioned about your weekly meetings. Is there ever an opportunity for either a representative of this council or someone from county to make sure you're fulfilling what you're required to fulfill?
That's a great question. So the funding that we've received, we have to be accountable to funders, which is state funding and also County of LA and behavioral health services. So we do have to we have to give accountability to them. So we're doing annual reports. In terms of coming to weekly meetings, we talk about protected information for tenants, so couldn't necessarily invite you to that. But definitely open to providing tours, or if anyone's interested in coming and checking out the property, would love to do that so the community can see inside and what we're doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Morona?
I think you guys have done a great job with the building and all. My concern is that intersection was a bit dangerous prior to even the construction going on there. There's a store there. People kind of like to slide in, slide out. I just think it might be something for the Safe Streets or the county to look at, bolstering that intersection in some way with seniors being there. It just would be a concern if there's going to be a lot of people walking in that area again now that the apartments are there. So just a note. Thank you.
No, that's great to know. And we definitely, I will let our team sort of, as we're operating, make sure everyone's feeling safe about it. Thank you.
I will just add to that I drove by today and I saw the landscaping going in, and things look fresh and new. There is, when you are coming eastbound on Figueroa, there are sightline, like visibility issues when you try to make a right or a left. I think there's a signal there. Yes, there is. But you have to come out sort of into the intersection to sort of see around. So I do think that, just to add to what Councilmember Morona said, that the visibility, because that's a high traffic street, because it connects to people that are going to get on the 210 freeway or what have you. So I would just say that we should look at the visibility for vehicular traffic coming eastbound on Figueroa and being able to see around to make a safe right or left, because Lincoln tends to be, I mean, this will be something for CHP. We can do enforcement there. We can also work on putting a speed trailer there. People tend to fly up and down Lincoln, and it's going to be very new for them to have residents living there and walking and what have you. So we should definitely take a look at that.
Okay.
Councilmember Wong, did you have something to add?
Yeah, just to that point, well, my quick question was 35 and 35
Sure.
with up to 2 people per unit, right? So that's potentially 150, 140 people. And then I know there is a small, modest parking. So I just wanted to also encourage, Lincoln is also one of the key transit corridors, last remaining in Altadena. So it does have a lot of potential. Just when we think about safety and walkability. And there's an amazing program that Metro offers. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's called Move On the Move Riders.
Okay.
And it's an amazing community building, senior, I'm in my 50s and I go and hang out, but most of the people there, so I don't know if the average age is normally more towards 60s or 70s. I don't know, it's 55, but based on how many you've got going now. But it's a great program.
Okay.
It's a great community building program, and it maybe at the end of the day can help us with safety along Lincoln.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for the recommendation.
Thank you.
I can reach out. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I would say my final question is,
Sure.
and we had a similar conversation with the complex that's going in on Lake. These are going to be Altadenans as far as this council is concerned. And so are there ways in which we can welcome them to the community, provide information about what is in the community that they can take advantage of? They're going to be, residing in an area that has a lot of restaurants and there's a grocery store and what have you. So how do we facilitate the two-way communication with you to get information to them about Altadena?
I love that question. Yes, so I think the best way is for me to connect you guys with the on-site services team that's going to be meeting with residents, because one of the things we do is try to give an orientation to the residents of where everything is located in relation to the building. So kind of including information that you guys have as locals would be really helpful. And then I also think we definitely have opportunities to invite community resources onto the property, whether it's giving services or just information. We would love to do that. I think it's probably best coordinated by the staff on site. So I can connect you to them because we would love any type of community input or resources so our seniors can really be a part of the community so we can integrate them. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Hall?
Yes, thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
Just a few questions as far as clarity. As far as the studios, the studios, I thought that there were one person per studio and then 2 people per 1 bedroom.
So a studio can, per the voucher guidelines, you can have 2 people.
Okay.
Most folks that are experiencing homelessness are single. So generally, we put 1 person in the studio. But technically, if they were to get married, they could maintain their housing and have someone live there. But generally, we're going to put 1 person in the studio, but it could accommodate 2.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. And then one more question as far as the residents coming. Was it for everyone? I was told that it could be, Los Angeles. Is it specific to Altadena residents?
Yes, so the affordable units, anyone is allowed to apply.
Okay.
So could be anyone from anywhere. There is no location preference there. But I can tell you right now, I know we have 10 folks from Altadena that have applied, which is great, and I can update you once folks have moved in. For the supportive housing, those are going to be folks that are from SPA 3. So this area experiencing homelessness.
Okay.
So there is a preference there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that just reminded me of one other question.
Sure.
In your work with Union Station, are there boy, I'm trying to think of the word I want. Are there locations in, let's say, Pasadena for folks that are experiencing either housing insecurity or homelessness, where there's sort of a graduation, like they're there for a more limited period of time, and then there's sort of like a graduation to more permanent supportive housing that would maybe graduate into a apartment complex like this, or it doesn't really work like that?
It doesn't really work like that with Housing First. So there's definitely folks, especially seniors, that will be in like an emergency shelter, or maybe even some communities do like a hotel voucher emergency program for folks that have, vulnerable health needs. So there are definitely folks that are currently in some sort of transitional housing, but there's no like graduation component. It's just sort of meeting folks where they are. So they could be experiencing homelessness on the street and they're working with an outreach worker, or maybe they're in an emergency shelter or a hotel or something like that.
Okay. Okay, did we get all of the questions? I think we did. Nothing from you, Diane? I just saw you back there. You're okay? Okay. Okay, I think you traveled a great distance to be here. I feel like you did, so we appreciate that. I hope you don't have too bad of a drive home. And is Shonda still a good contact for us?
So she is the project manager, so she's in charge of when it's in construction. Now that it is open, I'm probably the best contact, and our asset manager, Brianna, and I can give you guys her contact info as well.
Okay, and then you'll link us up with the property, with the
service team.
Okay, once that's all established.
Yep.
Okay, and how long do you think it'll be until you're fully occupied?
The goal is to occupy by November 15th. My goal is to go much sooner than that.
Okay.
But that's kind of we're trying to hit that, but I think it'll be earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to cooling centers. Emily Montanez from the Office of Emergency Management.
Thank you, and thank you to the council for the invitation. My name is Emily Montanez. I'm with the LA County Office of Emergency Management, which is synonymous with all sorts of disasters, fires, floods, earthquakes, things like that. But, when it comes to heat planning, we are indeed, we have a focal point around cooling centers and what that means. So if anyone here is familiar with cooling centers, great. If you are not, hopefully this presentation gives you a little bit more context and background for that. Some of the areas I'm going to quickly cover tonight are just an overview again of our program within the county. weather monitoring and alerts from the National Weather Service, operational area coordination that takes place within our office and some of our responsibilities, and then the public information aspect. Before I begin I just want to remind everyone, this is specific to county unincorporated areas. With the 88 cities across the operational area, there could be varying programs. So cities, Hermosa Beach, City of Pasadena, City of Burbank, they're not going to mirror the counties. There are other parameters, protocols within their city councils where their program could look a lot different than ours. So just keep that in mind when I'm going through, some of the presentation. So a quick overview, these are some of the 3 key terms that we use. Cooling centers is actually a term that the Centers for Disease Control began in about the mid-2000s, mid to late 2000s. And really the definition speaks to itself. It's specific air-conditioned public facilities, so not publicly accessible, but publicly owned and operated facilities. And that's why you get typically government facilities. To really just provide relief from the heat. There has to be access to restrooms, access to drinking water, and then of course, this is the really critical component, is ADA accessibility. These sites are always available during normal business hours. So think of a library, think of a community center, think of a recreational room at Parks and Rec. Again, government owned. Now, when we get into augmented cooling centers, this is really the key takeaway. Augmented sites have been predetermined in the off season. So after the heat, typically right around October timeframe up until the spring, our office is working with partners to identify augmented sites that can be stood up in the event they're closed. So on a Sunday, a lot of libraries are open Monday through Saturday. So we want to ensure if there is some extreme heat coming our way, that a library in that pre-identified or identified area will be open. And this also includes county holidays. So we have Labor Day coming up, traditionally a very hot weekend for us. We want to make sure that we augment cooling centers so that people have access to some relief. And then cool spots. We're talking about malls, shopping centers, bowling alleys, movie theaters, places of worship that open their doors to the public as well. So these are not government-owned facilities, but they're cool spots that we advertise and encourage people to go to and think outside the box of just a government facility. This is a little bit technical, but critical because this really determines our protocols. The National Weather Service issues heat products. And when it comes to extreme heat, heat advisory is kind of the second to the highest, and then an excessive heat warning is really where you're gonna feel the heat. And we're looking at those 2 heat products when we're talking about opening up cooling centers. I do wanna add cooling centers are, if you're thinking of a library or a senior center, those are open year-round. So if those of you who remember the Super Bowl back, I think it was February of 2022, that was a really hot weekend, and that was in February. And it was like 90 degrees in Inglewood. So that's not your traditional, summer months. But if a library was open, we would have just called that a cooling center. So again, open year-round, regular business hours. We have identified cooling centers in the different zones. I'll go over zones in a second. And when heat advisories or excessive heat warnings are issued, we ensure that the cooling centers that we partner with and work with are aware of the heat products that are being issued. So we're all on the same page of terminology. And then the third bullet is really when you'll hear about augmented cooling centers. So for 2 or more days, and when the excessive heat warning is issued, you can bet that you will see some augmented sites across the county. Next slide. So I know it's really small print to the right there, but there are 19 zones that the National Weather Service has identified. As of 2023, prior to 2023, there were about 8 or 9 zones. So really, the National Weather Service has done a good job in identifying sort of those microclimates within the zones. I'm born and raised in San Gabriel Valley. I live in Pasadena, but just coming up the street 10 minutes to Altadena, you can really feel a relief. I mean, there's more trees. It feels like it's 10 degrees cooler here. But all sorts of different zones across the county experiences the same. 100 degrees in Palmdale might feel good compared to 100 degrees in downtown LA. So the National Weather Service, again, has done a really good job of identifying different things, factors, topography, things like that, to enhance the zones and make sure we're really targeting more of these climates, especially for people, in vulnerable positions. A little bit about the National Weather Service Heat Risk Tool. Do you guys give this presentation out? Because that link is active and you can, kind of geek out on all the information that the Weather Service offers, because it truly is interesting. I'm not the expert on the tool itself, but the tool has been, about the last 20 years, the National Weather Service has been looking to make this a priority across their office. And you might see when you go on the website that it's in an experimental phase, and it's really not. It's just government taking a really long time to accept the tool. But I think the good news, when we're talking to our elected offices and just the general public, this is not just let's rely on data and science. There's a lot that goes into this tool. Here's all the bullets, and for the sake of time, I won't go through all of them specifically. But I think the second to last bullet is really important for that social vulnerability data. We're talking about urban heat islands, places where there aren't a lot of trees. Socioeconomic status really goes into some of the heat risk products that are developed. And it isn't just so much on, is it 95 degrees? Is it 100 degrees? 105 degrees? There's so much that goes into this now that really is fascinating. And it goes through records over, 100 years, duration, obviously, of the heat event, and then all sorts of other special considerations in terms of, what's the recovery overnight? Is it below 70 degrees? Is it going to be really uncomfortable overnight, like 76 degrees, 78 degrees? So all these little details really, come into play when we're talking about issuing heat products. Next slide. And then for our office, once there are some heat products that are issued, so if you're watching the news or following social media and you see there's heat advisories or excessive heat warnings, that really starts our coordination, where we're holding conference calls with libraries, parks, aging and disabilities, and other partners who offer up their facilities as cooling centers to say, these are really the hours and days we need you guys open, so that immediately we can pull the trigger and then get everything up and going on social media so that everybody gets the word. Again, like I mentioned, any city that wants cooling centers communicated on our lacounty.gov/heat webpage. Dorothy, you kind of plugged that earlier, so thank you for that. Cities can include that on our webpage, but again, there's a whole set of criteria that needs to be vetted. So if there's a church, just recently, a couple days ago, the city of Norwalk called me because they found a church that would like to be listed as a cooling center. Well, unfortunately, the church was not ADA compliant. Our county council recommended we don't put anything on our website just for liability and, all sorts of reasons. But we do encourage the cities to include that information on their city websites. So there's, again, some vetting that needs to go into that. But we encourage, other businesses, nonprofits, non-governmental organizations to look outside the box. And if there's other partners who want to be included as a cooling center, please, feel free to put that on the city's website. And then, of course, social media. And then there's no requirement for cities to match the county process. This is just a streamlined way for us to handle this process. And there may be times when certain cities offer cooling centers, of course, outside our criteria, again, just meeting their own needs for their residents. And then for information sharing purposes, we use our Ready LA County Heat webpage. So again, that's the ready.lacounty/heat page. And you can find cooling centers as of right now. It looks pretty mild compared to today for the rest of the week, so we shouldn't have any excessive heat warnings. We also work with 211 to provide a script in multiple languages and where people can, find that information in terms of cooling centers closest to them. We do work with LASA and our homeless initiative partners to make sure that people experiencing homelessness are getting the word and at least finding some sort of coverage in the event there's excessive heat. And then we use traditional media type tools like press releases and of course the reliance on social media and on our webpage as well to get the word out. And we're always looking for input from communities and groups like the council to help get the word out too. So as you're thinking about cooling centers and wanting to encourage people visiting them, it's a good way just to get programmatic details out to about the library, right? The library is not just a cooling center. It's a great place to check out books, participate in a reading program, use the internet, things like that. We want to make sure we're encouraging all of the day-to-day programs that each of the county departments do offer and get some relief from the heat while you're at it. Next slide. That's the end of the presentation. My information is up there. So if, there's any future questions that come to mind as well as right now, but we're always open to hearing how to improve the program.
First, thank you for coming. It couldn't have been a more perfect day to come. It was very, very hot here today.
I did not plan that. That just happened.
No, we planned it. Are there any questions regarding, are you aware of the cooling centers that exist in Altadena? Are you? I know.
So if there's a library, a senior center, just next door, that is just considered a cooling center. It's augmented if we've agreed for them to be open on a day they're traditionally not.
Closed. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a cooling center right now.
Got it.
Most county facilities are cooling centers.
Our libraries are not a county building. They're their own special district. So up here, it's usually the senior center and Loma Alta Park, if it's going to be augmented. Sure. I just checked the list and I didn't see the community center on here, which it's.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
It's Loma Alta Park and the senior center.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Molden.
As a parent in PUSD, I noticed that they started to issue the excessive heat warnings, but it doesn't then tell the parents where to go. Are you guys collaborating with the school districts with that as well, or?
It's definitely something we want to work toward in the future with so many school districts, with 81 school districts across the county. It's just kind of getting in and making that, seamless. But yeah, it's something we'll work toward. At the moment, we aren't working on that specifically.
Do you keep when you activate when a center is activated in an augmented way, do you track how many people utilize it?
Typically when they're augmented, we do, because they're not open. So that means a librarian coming in, unlocking the doors, calling for additional security, depending on where the library is and different concerns around that specific location. And it gets tricky because we don't want people to feel like they're being targeted for any specific reason. Again, these are county facilities that are open to the public. But then when they're traditionally closed, it's obvious why people, would be showing up on a Sunday when it's normally closed. But we don't get into specific questions on why, the reasoning behind it. We open the doors and just hope that, they're looking to get some water, maybe use the restroom and sit down for an hour or two.
Okay, any other questions? Great, thank you so much. We
Sure,
certainly
thank you.
appreciate it. It was perfect timing.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then I know that we have our partners from, from the Department of Economic Opportunity. We're just trying to get it set up. We got the deck. Do you need a minute, Dorothy? Okay. So we've got, our next special presentation is sidewalk vending, and we have Jessica Morales, and remind me your name again? Gail Morrison from Public Health and from the Department of Economic Opportunity.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you all for having us. My name is Jessica Mireles. I am with the Department of Economic Opportunity. We are the department that is authorized to enforce the new sidewalk vending ordinance for the unincorporated area of LA County. This is an update that we gave to all board deputies actually this past week, so it's great timing that we're here. The ordinance, if we can go to this is a brief history of a long time coming. So we all know that sidewalk vending has been a part of the culture in Los Angeles County for a very, very long time. Back in 2019, it became effective that sidewalk vending became a legal business activity upon a sidewalk because of SB 946, which decriminalized the activity of sidewalk vending, meaning you couldn't have criminal or like penal violations associated with the act of sidewalk vending. We've done a lot of stuff since then, all the way fast forward to August of 2024 and January of 2024. We got together with our departmental partners to form a sidewalk vending ordinance, which is when I received it, which is about 2 years ago. We met with Department of Public Health, Treasurer and Tax Collector, Regional Planning, Public Works, the Sheriff's Department, Parks and Recreation, Beaches and Harbor, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody there, but a lot of departments that met bi-weekly who all have some kind of jurisdictional authority over a sidewalk or an activity happening on a sidewalk or on a harbor or on a public pathway, all with the effort of creating rules and regulations in a very unregulated market space. Next slide. So introducing the sidewalk vending ordinance. It passed in February 6th of 2024, so many, many years after SB 946 back in 2019. We asked for 180 days to allow us time to develop the program, to create a registration requirement, and to launch that platform, which actually did soft launch on August 4th, which was Sunday. And it became effective law. So this is now permanent. We do have this in our muni codes, and again, it created this legal framework that basically just codified what state law allowed us to do, which was create rules and regulations for how people can vend on a sidewalk. Our geographic area, similar to most departments in the county, is limited to only the unincorporated areas. So there are 88 cities. Each of the 88 cities are also empowered by SB 946, by the state law, to create their own rules and regulations around sidewalk vending activity in their jurisdiction. So our jurisdiction, unincorporated. The program is much, much larger than just the ordinance itself. There are, 5 real components, I would say, to this program. One is the legislative, right, was getting the legal framework and authority to do a lot of this work. The second was outreach and education. We have a population that was wholly unaware about what rules and regulations meant, both in our county and also throughout the 88 cities within our county, and they differ. So it's very, very easy to become confused in jurisdictional authority. There was also a lot of confusion amongst our departments, including myself, about who was enforcing what aspect of the road. So that has been a longer conversation that we will get into when we talk about compliance. We also are addressing financial barriers by providing a bunch of subsidies. So the registration fee was assessed at $604. That's just the cost recovery for us to be able to pay for a platform, do the review time, have staff be monitoring this, being on the phones, being in person, processing the permit applications. Just the cost of the team itself was $604 per application. We're waiving that fee for the entire first year because we understand that this population, it has financial barriers in becoming formalized, and we don't want finances to be a barrier in becoming formalized and compliant. So the first year is completely free, and we've already started registering folks. We've gotten We've gotten 2 events just today, actually from the East Rancho Dominguez area, and we'll be doing pop-up in-person events to help people get organized throughout all of LA County, including this area as well, over the next 6 months. And then ongoing after that. So no worries. The food code compliant cards and then other aspects we'll talk about later. Funding and resources, no worries. We can go to the next one. Yeah, it's all good. $7 million has been allocated. So the original amount of funding that we got, and the reason that we were able to do this and subsidize this and make it the easiest for sidewalk vendors to come into compliance that has ever been in history, is because we have American Rescue Plan funding. That was federally funded dollars that are allowed to be utilized for small business development and small business assistance. This is a micro entrepreneur. Our smallest business, if you will, is our sidewalk vendor in our department. Our Office of Small Business, which is where I've been for the last 9 years, really got its roots in helping small businesses, brick and mortar businesses typically develop. We got into the gig economy as the gig economy came up. So we've seen a lot of changes in the economic space about how to help new clients and new business customers. This is definitely a new business customer and definitely a very difficult to reach customer. Roles for staff include many, many things. Amongst them is compliance. So again, we were allocated 4 staff to cover the entire unincorporated of the county. With myself is 5. So not even enough of 1 staff per district in the county. So I just want to give some context there that we're doing a lot with a very, very, very small team, a micro team, if you will. We also are leveraging community partners. So we do not do this by ourselves because we physically cannot. I definitely can't. We have a set of 2 nonprofit partners that have been doing outreach and educational engagement since last May. They're going to continue doing that until 2026 when the funding is completely exhausted. And they are great partners, but they really do focus on education first. And we are also trying to reach their capacity because they've never served clientele in this wide of a population. Typically, they have worked many, many years in the cities, most prominently in LA City. So that's Inclusive Action for the city. They used to be called Learn. They're now called Inclusive Action. And they are our subrecipient partner for some of the work that's here. So we share a lot of the load there. What have we been up to? So before August 5th, we were doing a lot of this pipeline building, really getting people accustomed to, 1, coming into government-sponsored events, which was in and of itself a challenge. We didn't have a lot of trust in the community. The community has seen us as a government agency, same as any other government department here, where it has been strategically, in the past, it was thought that enforcement-heavy approaches were going to be more effective. That's obviously not how we got here. So we're now shifting to a care-first approach, and we've been doing that for the last 2 years. This is the care-first approach. 897 engaged vendors since May of last year. We've had 76 community events. That includes events like this. That's wildly undercounting. I will say we are doing our best to track as much of this information as we can. But sometimes we miss some of these events. We had 3 events that I was at personally today, 4 events total, so, some context. We had 38 CMF4 subsidies. So we're also partnering with the Department of Public Health to subsidize their costs to become compliant with health requirements. Health requirements are huge. We want them to serve their client population, which is our community, through a lens of health and safety and wellness. And that means that you have to, even to be compliant with our ordinance, first and foremost, get your health permits. If you're selling food, you have to have the right health permits. You absolutely have to be in compliant. We're going to make it as easy as possible. We've been doing all of the trainings. We worked with DPH to develop the training. So I've become much, much more familiar with the compact mobile food operation permit process than I ever thought I would. Recipients for food handler certificates, that's part of the requirements to handle food. There's a food safety class that we now are offering both in English and Spanish. We are covering the cost of that food handler safety, and we're bringing in, especially for the Spanish speakers who are monolingual Spanish, they have an instructor who is providing them information all in Spanish. There's only like 3 people in the entire county that do this class in Spanish, and that is a barrier. That has also been a barrier. So we are investing in our partnerships with organizations that do provide that level of curriculum, and we have been wildly successful in getting people into their food handler safety card trainings. We have a 90% pass rate on the tests, And we are going to do the same thing when Mikos comes up, and Mikos is the micro enterprise home kitchen. So we're going to be partnering with DPH on the education and training components of that as well. We'll get to that later. Next slide. Our soft launch. So we redid our entire website. We got a great branding. I love this branding. It is an offshoot of our Shop Local. If anybody's familiar with Shop Local, that was another initiative that we led through our department. We were encouraging and created a lot of energy around what it means to shop local, what does it do to invest your local dollars, and then we also did a whole slew of giveaways for $500 at your local shops for people who were following us on Instagram. So hopefully you guys did. I think someone actually in Altadena did win one. There was a lot though. We have centralized our website to become kind of a repository. We do links to our compact mobile food trainings that we've hosted. We have all of our Eventbrites there. We do trainings ongoing. Our Eventbrite isn't just for sidewalk vendors, so if anybody here is a brick and mortar business owner or knows a business owner, we also do things like digital upskilling. We do things like marketing, online marketing management. We do partnerships with our legal aid program, which is free attorney service on things like entity formation, intellectual property trainings, lots and lots of resources for all business types. So again, our Eventbrite, yes, it links directly to our sidewalk vending page right now because that's what we have most content of, but also many, many other workshops. Go ahead. So our digital hub is up now, so please go onto our website. We finished our FAQs, which is our frequently asked questions. The sidewalk vending ordinance itself is also listed there. And again, it goes into great detail about what the operational requirements are. Things like distancing, things like hours of operation, things like noise control, things like waste management, right? It reinforces laws that were in DPW about illicit dumping. You cannot dump wastewater, food waste, or any other kind of waste from a vending operation onto a sidewalk. It's very explicit about that. We were using the ordinance to centralize some of the other jurisdictional issues that we saw that were in other departments into one law to make it a little easier for people to follow. We do have a 6-month period of time where we're allowing vendors to come into compliance now that we are formally effective, which means we are not utilizing our administrative citation authority when there is someone who's in non-compliance right now. That does not mean that we are not partnering with folks to enforce all of the other existing rules and regulations that, again, predate the ordinance itself and complement some of the things in the ordinance. These are our in-person events. So you can see we were in East Rancho Dominguez pretty much all day today to do English and Spanish sessions. We did a couple of registrations. We got a lot of people at least to create their profile, which in and of itself was a success. We had about 45 people show, so you guys are getting that live update. I haven't even sent that to my supervisor yet, so it was a busy day. We have many more coming up. We're going to add more. Again, this is just the in-person sessions. Virtual sessions are happening in between each of these weeks. They are posted on our Eventbrite, so we're going to record some of these sessions and have them also listed on our website for posterity so people can access that information whenever they need it. The QR code there will take you to our Eventbrite page, so if you all want to follow us, we're always announcing new events there. The call to action. Okay, so we are also in the process of procuring carts. Another barrier. You guys are accustomed to seeing pop-up vendors, right? What is a pop-up vendor? It's kind of this like colloquial term that we don't really define. It's not defined anywhere. It's basically someone who's acting as a restaurant on a sidewalk, right? And doesn't have the code compliant carts, doesn't have the right health permits, could never have the right health permits based on the way they've structured their operation. And that is what is important to inform them of, is there actually is a legal pathway where you could cook something on a sidewalk. It is the compact mobile food high risk or auxiliary unit permit that you would require. There are carts now that have been, our manufacturers, this law, SB 972 became effective I think in 2023, right? Sorry, Dale, I think it's 2023 when SB 972 became effective. Yeah, okay, just making sure. So that gave them an entire year for our manufacturers to catch up with some of the changes in the health code. That literally changed the retail food health code to make it easier for people to do on-site prep on a cart. It made it easier for people to use alternative commissary spaces, which means they don't have to go to a traditional commissary because LA is really sparse on commissary, and there's a lot of other predatory issues that have come up about that. the law changed so that we could have a pathway for people to be able to do this. This is something that is very much part of our culture, especially in Los Angeles, and it's been around for a long time, and we want it to continue, but we want it to be safe and healthy for people to consume food from these carts on the sidewalk. So there is a way to do it. You just have to have the right cart. So we are going to buy the right carts. We are going to use some of that $7 million to purchase a set of an assortment of carts that are all food code compliant to ensure that people are following public health and safety. We're going to do a grant application process to distribute those carts throughout the unincorporated area of LA County. We're partnering with the city of LA to do this as well, so we'll also have some city of LA compliance components. They are very eager to jump on board. We're going to be releasing a bid, a competitive open solicitation to make sure we get the best prices for the best carts for the best opportunity and the most carts that we can distribute. Our goal is at least 180 carts, which is not a lot, but it is a start, and we are hoping to drive down some of the price of each of the unit costs. And we are calling for manufacturers, fabricators, engineers, literally anybody who could potentially design and make a cart that would be food code compliant to please register on doingbusiness.lacounty.gov as a vendor. We also have another program in our Office of Small Business, one I used to oversee for about 6 years. It's our certification program, and it is there to assist businesses who want to do business with the county. If you want to sell your services, your products for the County of Los Angeles, please do so. Please register as a county vendor. If you don't know how to get registered and certified as a small business, contact our Office of Small Business. It's OSB at at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Okay. Phase 2. This is when the registration goes really, really broad. Our marketing campaign is going to be, you're going to see us in a lot more places and a lot more spaces. We're going to have bus ads. We're going to start rolling out like a much broader campaign. We are fastly approaching that. I will say it was kind of nice to have this month of soft launch because we did have system errors. We are on the Epic LA platform. Anybody who has a building and safety or has ever needed a permit for anything should know Epic LA in LA County. It is where DPW, regional planning, fire, some components of public health are all onboarded to host all of their permitting. So we have now joined the permitting family of Epic LA. And again, that website will go much broader and much more live in phase 2.
Jessica, it's Victoria. How many more slides do we have, or how much longer do we have?
I can do it in 2 more minutes. We'll skip over some stuff. We'll skip over some of the next slides. This is just marketing information that y'all will get and, again, have access to. This is also a little bit about Mikos. Go ahead. Move on. Yeah, we can go past all this. Okay, this is the important part. This is what we came for. November 6th onward, full implementation. What does it mean? This means that right now we are forming, we have our same work group. The same work group that we've been working with all these departments that helped us create the SVO has been meeting ongoing bi-weekly for the better part of the last 2 years. And in those sessions, we talk about a lot of the challenges that we're all facing. One of the biggest challenges is that we only have 4 people in our SVO program, and we have to do compliance, we have to do program management, we have to do procurement, we have to do, just a ton of stuff that we really just can't do. So compliance is one of those things where we have an open complaints application on our website. We had, last I checked, which was Monday, so yesterday, we had about 83 complaints. We've been to about 40 of those locations, and that has been since February. So we're going out a lot. We're going at non-traditional hours. This is not anybody's regular set schedule, right? We work same as everybody else, 8 to 5. And we're going out weekly to try and get to every single corridor that gets reported to us. Continue reporting those corridors. We can't be everywhere. We can't see every vendor. We have done a lot of work with our partners to try and get more visibility on where the vending communities are. We have hotspots, which are very condensed hubs that are located throughout the county. But we need more help. So continue reporting them. One of the things that I really will advocate for is that the volume of issues that we are seeing do not match the resources that have been allocated for this project. So I would say that if you continue reporting and understand that there is probably a 4 to 6 week delay before we get back to the same corridor that we've been to a month and a half ago, because that's just how long it takes us. Even going out every weekend, going out between 6 to 9, or going out Saturday mornings or whatever days of the week that those people are there. It will help us when we make the ask in the next coming months for more resources. And if you want more resources for your districts, you have folks in this room who are prepared to hear that. And I did want to set up the context of how much work is going into this program to get people compliant. But when there is non-compliance, we take that very, very seriously. We want to escalate it and we want to document it. So if you guys can continue to use that, that is a big part of this. Enforcement will become online after November. Technically, it'll come online fully in January when we start issuing citations. And then, again, this is the Care First approach. We do 2 outreach engagements to bring people packets of resources where they're at in language. Typically, it's English and Spanish. We are working on getting a broader slew of all of the threshold languages. There's about 13 in the county. The escalation process. This is when we bring issues where there's severity in the non-compliance to our work group. So places that we've talked about, that we've been to, and we've been to a lot, and Gail can attest to this, she coordinates a lot of them. We go out and we issue citations. We issue notices of violation. We take all the enforcement from all the departments that might be relevant, including illicit dumping from DPW. The sheriffs are out there accompanying us. DPH is confiscating food. We're out there to participate. Right now we're not issuing citations, but we will be in the future. And again, TTC is holding steadfast in also making sure that our food truck brothers and sisters are following the same compliance, because they also take up a lot of sidewalk and they also have a lot of issues and challenges that impact our communities. And I think that's it. These are our next steps. So again, the link on the bottom is going to take you to our website. The community next steps is, so these are next steps for different targeted populations. Our sidewalk vendors, obviously, come join us for education. Cart manufacturers, we want you to join us for bidding on our open requests for bids. And then the community, we want you to report. Please, please continue to be our eyes and ears out there. We physically can't be everywhere at once, so any information that you're able to provide us on the complaints form is truly, truly appreciated, with the understanding and the caveat that we probably won't get there for another 4 weeks after you report it. I did see some folks on Fair Oaks. We went to the Arco gas station on Woodbury. We've been trying to get out here as much as possible. So just know that we've done at least two enforcements over the last 6 months, one with DPH doing food confiscation for the Arco gas station. Yeah, I think that's it. And then get in touch with us. This is our contact. So thank you. Sorry, I'm open for questions.
Okay, council members, do we have, you think that was pretty thorough? Okay, any specific questions? I think we have questions, but in the interest of time, we may want to get them, we could get them all together and then send them over to Jessica and then get answers back. And then Dot, can you forward the deck to the council so that everybody has everything they need? Okay. That would be very helpful, yes. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. Did you want to add anything, Gail, for DPH?
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Okay. Oh, that would be great. Okay, so Nick, we're going to make note of that and then we'll circle back around.
Awesome, sorry, thank you. I apologize,
Okay.
Gail. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jessica. Thank you so much, Gail. Okay, community partners, Parks and Rec. Guillermo is here. I saw you. And thank you for waiting.
All right, hey everybody, my name's Guillermo. I'm the Recreation Manager for Altadena for the parks in the LA County. I'm going to go through some of the programs we got coming up. So park programs at Farnsworth Park, we do have our Everybody Plays After School. That takes place at all of our park sites. So there and also at Loma Alta. It takes place from 2:30 to 5:30. So we are going to start until after Labor Day, just so that the kids can get into session and then we'll start our program again. We also have Alta Jam, we have our salsa cardio class, yoga, which is a new class, been popular for Saturday. So if anybody's interested, they only charge $15. And then our pre-ballet class. And the next one. And then for Loma Alta, we got a lot more programming. It's a very big park. We got our Spot Team program. We got our Soul Sisters line dancing, urban ballroom dance. We actually have youth cheer. Last year, our minis division actually won for the entire park agency. So that was awesome. We also are hosting yoga, so it's on Tuesdays from 6 to 7:15. We are having a new youth baseball clinic. It's actually hosted from the First to Third clinic, First to Third organization. And then everybody plays also. Our tennis classes, you guys already know, that's year-round. And then our youth basketball clinics. So just so you guys are aware, we have made a bit of a change for our gymnasium. We're trying to include a little bit more diverse in programming there. So 3 days out of the week, we got basketball. And then in addition, we're doing youth soccer inside. So we're doing futsal. That's actually going to be taking place on Fridays. And then volleyball, we're doing open gym. So that's Mondays and Tuesdays. And then upcoming events. So for both parks, it's a little bit synonymous. So we both have our September community meetings. So that's a really big one where we are welcoming everybody to come out. If you guys have any concerns, if you guys want to bring about any ideas you want to see at the parks, security-wise, I know pickleball is a big one, so people are probably going to ask for more courts. And then also we have our upcoming events, so Hispanic Heritage, Trick or Treat, Dia de los Muertos, which we did last year, Harvest Festival, and then our big one at the end of the year is going to be our Winter Pad. So you guys already seen thousands of people come out, so those are the dates and times. In the back, I did leave a flyer out there, so it actually just gives you all of the dates because it saves us a little bit of paper I had to print out for each one. And then last but not least, all my contact information is there, including the park supervisors, in case you need to get in contact with someone. Any questions?
Wow, I think that is our fastest park presentation ever. That was so impressive. Okay, do we have any questions? Yes, we do. Sure. Go ahead, Councilmember.
One quick
Holmes.
question. Are you guys going to be bringing back Tiny Tots to Loma Alta Park?
Yes, we are. We're just waiting for, actually in the back I have a flyer, so if anybody's interested, you can just scan the QR code. We're getting an interest list now, and then once they give us all the information for the CDBG grant and they'll approve it, then we can market it and actually have it going.
And then, whoopsie, who was that? Go ahead.
I just want to add that I took my telescope over to Loma Alta Park for the Parks After Dark. You were there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of parents and the kids. It's a really nice park. I've driven by there for 20 years. I'm like, this place feels great with the oak trees and everything. Perfect place for astronomy, I would add.
Well, thank you.
And then, I don't know if Trevor mentioned anything to you about maybe the next time you come to present, maybe having someone from Parks Bureau come with you, the captain from Parks and
Let me make a note. I'll let him know.
We talked about it when we met at Charles White Park with with Congresswoman Chu, just in terms of how we're going to address the concerns of the residents in the area as it relates to drinking at the park on Sundays, and who's responding and when, and all of that over the course of the time that the park's improved.
And then just a little bit with that, so for sure on Sundays we do have a staff. We are a little bit short staffed, so when we have reservations, so for example for the soccer one, we also have reservations up at Loma Alta, so the staff is just driving back and forth to check up on them, so they're not really stationed just at one site, so it gets a little tricky, but we do encourage, if you guys do see that, to at least contact the park number, and then they can still report that to us. That, or if, again, it's still unlawful to drink at a park, so that can still be reported to the sheriff's department. But what we are doing is I've already informed the park staff to be more vigilant about that, especially on Sundays for their permit, and then if need be, we will cut their permit.
Yeah, Trevor made the same comment, which is great, so thank you very much. Okay, any other, what? Go ahead.
The sheriff's station is not who you call, right? That's what you're saying, it's Park Bureau. It's the Park Bureau sheriff's people.
Yes, yes, but what he was saying was that it's illegal to drink at the parks, and so in any event, it can be reported to the sheriff's station, and Captain Williams agreed with that. Yeah. Especially on a Sunday. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? It's so good to see you. This is really helpful because then we can get these dates just in a really compact way up on the website too, so everyone can go and see what's going on at our parks.
All right.
So thanks so much.
All right.
Okay. I did not see Chamber of Commerce. Nope. Okay. And then Chris O'Malley, you were going to update us on Owen
Brown. So on July 20th, On July 26th, the LA County Landmark Commission voted to grant historical designation to the Owen Brown site. The issue will reappear before the Board of Supervisors for a final vote at some point in the near future. That's my report. Let's go on.
Okay. Yes, play it back on YouTube. Okay, we are moving into our community reports. 6-1, the West San Gabriel Valley Area Plan.
Yes, a land use and zoning document is available for your review. Next month, the town council will put forth a position letter and vote on that, so be prepared for that, council members. I see you, Chris O'Malley.
I see you and raise you. Yeah, true that. Okay, Safe Streets, 6.3.
Oh, thank you. So one question I had for Melissa
go
is,
ahead.
I think there's another community workshop coming up at the end of this month.
Good point. I will look into that and make sure we get it on the council website.
Yes, I think it's the 27th.
I think you're right.
Okay, yes. So that was that. And let's see, Safe Streets Committee, there's so much work going on traffic safety and mobility, and it's an exciting time. So we're meeting again the fourth Thursday of each month. We're meeting via Zoom. So our next meeting will be 2 days from now, the 22nd at 7 p.m. And you can sign up for Zoom. I have to update the link on the website so that it's the same link as the past months. It just will have the right date on it. And we have been doing some, over this time, we've spent a lot of time focusing on safe access to schools. That's brought a lot of community energy together. So UC Berkeley Safe Trek supported the first event to do a community audit, and it was around Jackson Elementary in 2018. And so again, just the momentum of the community to want to feel safe when they're walking, biking, driving, whatever around Altadena has really heightened. So again, California Clean Air Day, October 2nd. I think this will be the 4th or 5th year, maybe 4 years. I can't remember now. Last year, there were about 400 students from 7 or 8 schools that actually came out to walk. And so this will be a nice collaboration again with the schools and also California Clean Air Day, the library. So anyway, it's not necessarily a Safe Streets Committee event, but it's a great opportunity, again, to think about how we're looking at safety around our schools. And so UC Berkeley Safe Trek has a tool called Street Story, again, where we'll be able to share our information, how we feel, close calls, whatever's happened. And through the injury data, 1 in 4 of the collisions that occurred with the pedestrian were actually our youth. So that's a pretty powerful research statement that we need to make it safer around our schools. And it's going to take a village to help that happen. So just get involved, whatever it takes, and tell your story at our next Safe Streets meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong. Education Committee, Sylvia Vega is not here, but in her stead, it will be Isis Molden.
So the Education Committee has started up again and just in time for the school to start. We had our first meeting on July 26th, followed by our subsequent meeting in August the 16th, just before when school began. We've identified our main focus being that we'd like to establish a strong communication with our principals and the principals for our schools, including Webster, Elliott, Altadena, and Jackson. And those are all Altadena area schools. Some of the activities that we did successfully implement was that we coordinated with CHP to help with the first day of school drop-off and pickup. We worked in collaboration with the PTAs as well as the principals. And a few of the fellow council members were there in support of our schools to cheer on the students, and that was a very successful event. And a couple of other council members were there to participate in the preschool activities like the teacher reveal, and we look forward to collaborating with the schools in the future. We would also, as the Education Committee, would like to partner with our community groups such as Neighbors Building a Better Altadena and League of Women Voters to host the candidate forum for our upcoming election for our PUSD board seats 2, 4, and 6. And we believe that would bring valuable insights to our school communities and parents. And in the coming school year, we'd like to invite our school principals to come and introduce themselves to the community, since we have a couple of new principals in our Altadena area schools, and as well as PTA to come and share their efforts with their fundraising and their successes, because they've got a lot of great programs for our children. And also to reacquaint the community with our vibrant public schools. And we would also like to encourage Altadena community members to join the PTAs. You don't have to have a student at this school. You could just be a neighbor or an alumni, because that really helps you get familiar with the schools and also find ways how you can support the schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are moving on to our election committee, Councilmember Sutherlen.
Thank you. We are going to have a election in November. The dates are going to be on Saturday, November the 9th, and early voting on Tuesday, November the 5th. The election committee will consist of myself, Kim Yu, John Carmody, Sylvia Vega, and Karen Gibson. But if your names weren't called and you're not running for re-election, you still may be picked up by one of these people to help us with the election anyway, so don't get too comfy. The first thing that we have to do is the council has to approve the rules for the election. I sent the copies out to you on the 14th, and nobody got in touch with me to say that you had questions or anything that anybody would like to ask or, finally thought of. Otherwise, we will need to vote on approval of the, okay? In that case, I recommend that the election rules for the 2024 election are approved as presented to council members.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the approval of the election rules. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody abstaining? Anybody in opposition? No, so that motion carries and it was unanimous. Thank you so much, Pat, for your work on that.
Thank you.
And we look forward to some community members stepping up to run for those open seats.
Oh, I could say, sorry, I forgot. The application package will be available on the website on September the 13th. And there'll be notification before that, but in case anybody is wondering.
Great. September 13th. Okay. All right, we are moving on to general public comment. Who am I turning that over to? To Pat.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I got new contacts and, sorry, Dale? I just can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry.
Lacasella.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it's me again.
Yes.
Dale Lacasella, I'm with Friends of the Altadena Senior Center. We are still working really hard on getting things back to where they used to be, and we're having some success. We have had a trip every month, which is a start. It's not, this month they're going to the Santa Monica Farmers Market and the beach. We are a designated cooling center. And that includes anybody. Doesn't have to be seniors. They can bring children, they can bring relatives, whatever. Whoever needs the help can come in. We have water, we have table games, we have stuff going on. The YWCA provides lunches every day at the senior center. You have to sign up, but it's $3 for a senior, $5 for a non-senior, and if you can't pay, it's free. They're nice lunches. They're not bad. They're healthy, they're nutritious, they taste good. I know there's lots of people out there that need them. We ask you to please direct them over there so they can get at least one hot meal a day. It's, it's a service that's provided, and let's go with it. We're having a good time at the senior center. We encourage everybody to tell your people in your district, come and join us, come and see what we're doing.
Will you remind everyone of the age?
Pardon me?
The age for senior?
50 and up.
50 and up. So if you're 50 and up, the Altadena Senior Center is there for you.
Right. They've got some great classes. The exercise room is lovely, and it's free. You don't have to join a gym. You don't have to fight with sweaty men. It's great. So please have people join us. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jill.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next, we have two comments on the same topic. So Stephen Neptune, and then if Amy Harnty comes and speaks second. And I will say to both of you, since it doesn't show on here, since we don't respond to public comment in the meeting, if you'd like a response, if you'd like contact, Reginald.
Oh.
We'll get your contact.
Wonderful.
Right, just
Thank you.
just put your name and however you want contact.
I will
and
be sure to grab this on my way out.
Okay.
I might actually have, if I may have Amy just hold up this kind of thing as I do this. Sorry, we kind of put this together, and so I apologize. I'll do the first half, and Amy will do the second.
Okay.
Kind of figured we'd do it that way. Good evening, Council. Amy and myself are residents of District 4610, and together we met actually over safety concerns for the Charles White Park and the surrounding neighborhood for the Altadena Town Council Safe Streets Committee. Since then, we've taken significant steps in formal walk audits with LA Department of Public Works in February of this year, as well as collecting some community feedback regarding the renovations at Charles White Park. West Altadena has been overlooked with the legacy of redlining and inadequate county funding. However, this is changing now. The county has allocated $4.5 million to the renovation of Charles White Park in 2024. And the commercial activity around Lincoln Avenue, as we've all seen, has started to boom, and we're starting to pick up again, which is wonderful. Recognizing the importance of community input in this park is very important to us, and so we polled some local citizens regarding the renovations at the park. Some of our results underscore the urgency and need in addressing some of these safety and accessibility issues with Charles White Park. I'd like to present this data as part of our ongoing efforts to ensure that the park renovation truly meets the needs of all residents in West Altadena. So first, I'm going to present a little bit of data that we collected from some of our responses. We had a survey that we put out in June of this year. We had about 62 responses that we got back from people on and around the park. Thank you. First thing we wanted to talk about was things that were most important to people in the park. We originally saw some designs that Amigos de los Rios did of the park that had a splash pad. And so we put that in our survey, and people were actually very receptive to that. Unfortunately, pickleball, something that the SALT proposal showed, was very, very unpopular with a lot of the responses that we had. The other thing that we had is we had park safety was our highest priority for a lot of residents around the area, and the need for safer streets. I can have you guys look at some of this results later on and inspect the data as we go on. A lot of people, about 49% of the people walk to Charles White Park.
You're on time.
Oh, sorry.
You're out of time. Okay, but I think
She's got 2 minutes if she wants to.
Councilmember Arnzen got a picture of the data, and what did you have to say, Councilmember O'Malley? You want to do it? Okay, so keep going. 2 more minutes.
Okay, I'll switch actually with my colleague Amy here.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, public comments were clear and overwhelming. Residents are deeply concerned about park infrastructure, safety, illegal activities, the presence of unaccompanied adults in children areas, and the overall accessibility of the park. These issues are not just inconveniences, they represent real barriers to creating a safe and welcoming environment for everyone. Based on the feedback from the survey, we believe the designs proposed by SALT in the previous town council meeting did not respond to the community's needs in an adequate way. We asked for accountability in those managing the project to look beyond shiny objects like public art and instead focus on real, tangible challenges stated by members of the community. If the park were to be a true representation not only of the legacy of Charles White, but the community of West Altadena, then we should address the systemic issues around the park itself and the funds allocated for the project. And with the time, I'm going to just share some of the comments we got. 1, more lights around the park. 2, we'd like to see something done about the adults on the playground unaccompanied by minors. 3, please ban alcohol drinks. 4, there are not sidewalks leading into the park, which means walking on the streets feels unsafe. 5, needs to focus on safety and inviting families. The park has been known to be unsafe. 6, Charles White is due for an upgrade and would provide a valuable community center for the west side of Altadena. Under no circumstances should pickleball be considered for this park. 7, speed bumps are needed on both sides of the park. I think the park should be used for more recreational activities for the youth. No drinking or drugs, please. We really need safer ways to walk and bike to this park. 30 seconds? 15? Okay, 10. This is the last one then. We live less than a block away from the park, but we take our 4-year-old and dog to Loma Alta instead due to safety concerns. Although we haven't experienced the incident ourselves, we feel nervous. It's absurd to me that the playground was improved first, seemingly pushing the responsibility of shifting culture of the park onto children and to parents. I had a closing statement, but we're done. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Have you?
Yes, please.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll fill it out. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Okay, did you get back the name and phone? Okay, because I'm going to give the same statement to the next 3 people that are on the same topic. We'll need to get if you want a separate response, we need to get your name and how to reach you, please. And if you'd all come up, we have Amy Lyford, Casey Young, and Rebecca Stokes.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Casey Young, and I'm a long-term resident of Altadena. I actually went to school at Loma Alta Elementary and Elliott Middle School, and we had similar walks to school days, so it's really exciting to hear that those programs are still in place. I'm speaking out today about the proposed Polyfields project on Cheney Trail and its potential harm to our foothills and the community's street safety with new traffic patterns to Polytechnic, or from Polytechnic. I live right beside the Nuccio's nursery, and I'm concerned about the project's impact and legacy for the Altadena community. I'm also concerned about this project's direct impact on the significant ecological area of Altadena foothills and Arroyo, a space designated within LA County as irreplaceable biological resources. This SEA encompasses wildlife from Hahamunga watershed to the Oaks in the Meadows, down to Nuccio's, and up north to the San Gabriel National Monument. This project will impact the wildlife of Altadena and beyond. I'm also concerned about the rural outdoor lighting ordinances being violated because, again, I border this proposed project site and I've read through the project plans and designs as to where these dozens of 75-foot light poles are going. The concentration of the buildings and fields in the southeast corner of the project is where my property stands, and thus is a concern for me. I have personally been working closely with Cheney Trail Corridors project, a project that is based on collecting empirical data about the plants, animals, and ecosystems that will be impacted by the Polyfields project. We are currently surveying bat activity near the project site on the Altadena Crest Trail with great success and support from the community. This group has successfully led nature walks, night hikes, and community science gatherings on Cheney Trail every week, bringing attention to not only the locals but the LA residents of the county. I'm asking each of you on the council to take a position on the Polyfields project and to hear us concerned community members, really, that allowing this project will leave a negative legacy of Altadena community and our ability to steward the land. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name's Amy Lyford, and I've lived in CT 4601 in a high fire zone for 26 years. I'd like to speak about the Polyfields project that's been submitted to LA County Regional Planning to build the sports stadia, parking, and other buildings up on Cheney Trail. I'm concerned about many aspects of the project. Key issues include development in a wildlife corridor, including stadia for football, tennis courts with 75-foot stadium lighting, seats for 400+ spectators, amplified sound, underground parking, several small buildings for student activities, a training facility of 11,000 square feet, and a private locked gate into the site. I have concerns about ingress and egress in a high fire zone, the obvious impact on the community of Altadena and our neighbors near the site, on wildlife, insect, and plant communities, and the entire San Gabriel foothill ecosystem. What value for the community of Altadena does the Polyfields project offer? What is the council's position on its own role in advocating for Altadenans? Over 7,000 community members have signed the Altadena Wild petition to halt this development by a small elite private school in Pasadena. I urge the council to hold public meetings on the Polyfields proposal due in updated form as of August 17th, 24 to the county, so that should be available soon. And those meetings should be held on a regular basis. I urge the council to be proactive rather than reactive to the county-led process, to prepare and publicize a council position on the project in your role as elected representatives for our community. In sum, I urge you to strengthen and sharpen your role as advocates for the thousands of Altadenans who are deeply disturbed by this project. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Thank you. My name is Rebecca Stokes. I'm a resident of Altadena. I recently saw Polytechnic's promotional video regarding the proposed development on for the sports complex up in the foothills. And I have 3 concerns. One is fire risk, which Amy just addressed very well, I thought. The other is traffic. We're talking about football stadiums, multiple fields. I'm concerned about congestion. I'm concerned about pollution. And I'm very concerned about safety, which has been a recurring theme throughout this evening's meeting. Anecdotally, I did a back of the napkin calculation. I've done about 4,000 school car lines in my life at 6 or 7 schools around the Pasadena area. I dropped my daughter off at a middle school dance at Poly last year, and it genuinely was memorable in being the most aggressive car line I've ever experienced. And I thought to myself coming away, if this is happening amongst people who know each other, now what would it be like for this very non-neighborly aggressive car line to come up through Altadena? The environment is my third concern, noise pollution, light pollution, watershed impact. So my request, well, first off, we've got a lot of costs and risks, potential risks. What is the benefit to Altadena residents? My request is that the council proactively seek feedback from the residents. It takes a lot to come to a meeting, and I'd like you all to reach out to your constituents proactively on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it David Skabinski?
Yes. Four quick topics. I'll do it in 2 minutes. Number one, I used to teach at West Point, and for the kids that got their Eagle Scout, one of the greatest factors that can influence the admission to West Point is to be an Eagle Scout. So if you know those kids or others like them, let them know, because it could be an advantage of them getting in. Number two, I heard that it is a ballot initiative. The biggest change to the Board of Supervisors on the ballot in November, the expansion of the ballot, and about 7 other factors in that. I think that there should be some open hearings within our community to talk about that, to educate people about how big a deal that is. And we know that our current supervisor is against it. So we should understand why she is in fact against it. Number three, I echo everything you said. I'm a 34-year resident, and to Councilmember Wilkins, you love the astronomy up there. That place is going to kill any astronomy in Altadena. So the light pollution alone. So I hate that whole project. And lastly, I find it interesting that we had a presentation from affordable housing tonight, and Altadena's already got 2. I'll guarantee you San Marino's got 0, La Cañada's got 0. We always get hit with more social services being provided because we're unincorporated. It makes me think that Altadena may need to take the step to incorporate. Just a thought.
That's all we have.
I want to thank everybody who came and who stayed. This is a long meeting for us. This will be our longest meeting of the year, so we appreciate you being here for the whole thing and for coming forward to speak. And if you provided your contact information, we will absolutely get back to you and with you. I do want to just make a short comment about Poly Fields. I encourage anyone who is here speaking on behalf of that project to please let your opinions be known to the school board at Polytechnic. It's extremely important that they hear directly from those who are going to be impacted the most. So we've heard it, the supervisor has heard it, the director or the headmaster, whatever his role is there, should hear it, and the board, which I believe you can find their contact information on their website. So it's critically important that they hear from us in Altadena as well. Okay, yes.
Polly, it's on. Okay, sorry. Can we also make sure that everybody knows, I think we have it posted on our website, the letter that regional planning sent to Polly that we're now waiting for a response back from Polly on, that was supposed to be back on the 17th, but I'm not sure it's back yet. So they're already pursuing a lot of these questions with them, so the plan is not finalized yet, so.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of census tract reports. First is Connor Chipola from 4601.
I want to inform the community that Public Works will be hauling sediment and accumulated, easy for you to say, during recent storm events in the Los Flores debris basin to 2 separate sites. It's going to restore the basin and increase its capacity and for critical floods in the future. Sediment hauling is scheduled to start on August 27th, and it'll take 6 weeks to complete. The work schedule may be extended if they need more time. Work will occur Monday through Friday between 7 and 4 p.m. and on Saturdays as needed, no hauling on Sundays. And if you guys have any questions about that, you can direct them to Mohammed Shamim at 626-445-7630, or at his email mshamim@dpw.lacounty.gov, or reach out to us and we'll get you in touch. Also want you to know that we're working on a replacement sign for the McPherson Parkway sign in Mount Low median. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And we will, they provided a map to us of the hauling route. So we will get that to Dorothy so we can get it on the website so folks will know where they are coming in and out of. Okay, and then 4610, was it going to be Councilmember Moulton? Go ahead. Moulton.
I'd like to update the community on 4610. We'd like to give a huge thank you to our Representative Judy Chu for securing funding for the Charles White Park. She secured $750,000 for the renovation of the park, which has not been renovated since 1980. And Supervisor Barker was also there to present the check, and the ceremony was beautiful. She also spoke about the legacy of Charles White and how he chronicled the history of the African-American experience, specifically in Los Angeles and Altadena. So thank you again to Representative Judy Chu.
Thank you for that. All right, that is it. I would.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you, everybody.